Hi, and welcome in yet another episode of Granaliza's guest series, or if you prefer, you can call it Granaliza's finest. This time around, I'm super excited to welcome Bence Hambalkó.
Hey, I'm Bence. Nice to meet you, and thank you for the invitation, Adam. I'm very excited to work with everyone.
Don't tell thank you too quick, because we'll see how it goes, if you won't be regretting that.
Definitely.
So basically, Bence is quite unusual guy who happened to be a CEO of Yigsoft Development, a contractor for CD PROJEKT RED, and he also happened to be a project lead for recently released REDkit tool. What is REDkit? We'll talk about it a bit later, but I suppose it would be a great idea to give Bence a voice to himself to introduce him a little bit to our audience. Bence, who are you? How did you manage to get into the modding community? And how did your gaming life started?
Hey, so I was always really fond of games, but I really had an unusual entry to the gaming industry. So when I was really young, I used to create mods and write code and try to learn things in Half-Life 1, actually.
Okay.
And I was part of a community where people did speedruns and created these kind of interesting maps and interesting things around the time. But after a few years, I played The Witcher 3 and it got me really blown away. And I really wanted to somehow relive the experience. So I started a project called the Kit.
Mm-hmm.
This was around, I think, 8 years ago or something like that. And together with a small team in the community, we started creating mods and tools to modify the content of The Witcher 3. And after a while, we started expanding this when Cyberpunk came out. I was finishing my studies as an IT engineer, and then I started studying to be a biomedical engineer.
Oh, nice.
And I was working part-time in IT security.
Okay.
And with one of my friends, we started a company where we making mobile apps and a lot of strange projects. And actually, CD PROJEKT RED reached out to us if we would be interested in working with them on somehow supporting the modding community. So we started working together on Cyberpunk 2077. For the first chunks, we just helped making smaller bug fixes to the game. But then, back in 2022, I think, we shipped the Red modding tools for Cyberpunk. And later that year, we got involved with The Witcher 3 Complete Edition. And that's where my entry to more involved game development started. And soon after shipping the game, we had a great team and we started thinking about making even better modding tools.
Okay, so this is how the REDkit emerged. Was it some kind of your idea to work with to try to develop this tool, or was it a bigger plan of the company itself?
So CD PROJEKT is always supporting the community really well, and this was really a right moment for both them and us to do this project. We had people with great experience working on The Witcher, and this was just a really nice setup for everyone to create something that the community would be happy with.
Okay, so I would like to ask you about your first steps in modding world, because For me, I need to admit that actually I was using mods, but more like from the end user perspective. But now, after I've seen a few spectacular mods regarding the Witcher 3, of course, which would be latest Vizima mod, or few years back the awesome Witcher 1 prologue translated into Witcher 3, which is super great to actually play it one more time with such great graphics. And when the REDkit was released, I started to think totally going into this tool myself. So I wouldn't be myself if I wouldn't try to reach someone, in this case you, who actually work with the tool, and ask as much as I can to actually try if this could be something for me is worth for my time, let's say. So treat me as a potential end user who is keen, who is interested in the tool itself, and as a noob, let's say I'm total noob in this case. Can you say that the REDkit is a suitable tool for me to start the adventure of modding, or should I try to do something else?
So we really try to be careful on designing everything, so it's like easy to start, hard to master. Mm-hmm. So if you want to create some simple mod, a script where you give more money to Geralt, or maybe just a simple texture mod, giving him a nice t-shirt with some metal band or something, it should be really easy to do. But Witcher 3 is, under the hood, is a very, very complicated game. So creating new quests and such will take time. But we took special care to create a nice documentation, and we also recorded multiple hours of videos explaining how to create quests, how to set up cutscenes and such. And we even created an example mod where we created a new world with some boss fights and maybe some secrets that people can check out. So I think we have a lot of things that will help beginners slowly ease into, and we have a contest running now, so it's the best time to get started.
Okay, how long does the contest last? So I'm not sure if I will be able to fit in the timeline.
So if I am correct, the way it works is we have the whole contest running until October or something like that. Where people can submit their quests and bigger mods, but every few weeks we have these smaller challenges. And the first one was just ending not long ago, where you had to create summer dresses for the game, and we had some nice beach party dresses for Redeem and such, so it turned out great.
Okay, so maybe a little bit background question right now. So what set of skills, like is there a set of particular skills that a good modder should have if he would like to consider himself as a developer in the future, or creating the mods in the future?
So I would say you need dedication. That's maybe the only thing, because that's what you need for mastering anything. Especially with modding, it's maybe not with REDkit, but usually when you try to create mods for a game, you usually don't have documentation, you don't know how the game works, maybe the company doesn't even exist anymore, so it's really hard to figure out how to do something. It's a bunch of trial and error. But on the other hand, game development is the same, because let's say you want to create a new boss fight, then you create something and you show your idea to everyone, and you suddenly realize for you it was really fun, but others didn't like it, so you have to iterate a lot. And this is the same with modding, because it's a lot of trial and error, and I think it really prepares you on how to approach problems that require a lot of iteration.
So if I would like to start modding, you would suggest to start with something small, not to start with This is a popular saying that every game developer who starts his career always starts with open world MMO game with lots of mechanics, lots of tables, and so on. So how would it be in modding community?
There's a saying that I love is that video games are never finished. People just don't work on them anymore. So this is the same with mods. So I would say that try to find something that you really like. I don't know, maybe you like cats. Start adding cats, and if you still don't get bored, then start adding quests for the cats, and then maybe some combat system for the cats, or like slowly start building up on it.
Mm-hmm. So this sounds like an idea for some kind of abstraction in the as an add-on to the game. So is there any limitations of the things that you can do with the REDkit right now?
In general, no, but people don't have access to the actual source code of the engine. In terms of like maybe creating new quests, cutscenes, adding new characters, everything should be possible.
Okay, I see. One of the or few ideas for the mods, maybe someone who will listen to me right now pick up the idea, and I'm open to cooperate right now if you someone who listened right now and would like to like I said go further with my idea. So first idea would be creating the short story about the Siri roaming in Night City. When if you remember, there was one of the conversation with Siri and Geralt when Siri told that she was jumping the portals and seeing the people with metal in their heads. So that would be I think that would be a great idea for a mod for The Witcher, because I suppose that this would be one of the most obvious quests that could be created using the mod kit.
So we have a Blender plugin that we created for the Red mod for Cyberpunk, and there is a lot of nice community tools, so I suppose people could port assets. But I think it's always much better to create new stories. I would love to see something from the books or something from Netflix. Maybe someone could remake some nice movie or import some interesting characters. So I would love to see something like really new and really creative.
Okay. Are you watching the modding scene from like user perspective right now, or just to you're focused on the REDkit itself right now?
So we have created Steam Workshop integration to the game, so people can really easily install mods, and it turned out like really great. Like very nice percentage of players are using cool mods from there, and we have a lot of nice creations. And after we started implementing it, that's when I realized like how convenient compared to how we created and installed mods a few years ago to Witcher 3 Steam Workshop is, because people can just click subscribe and everything works.
Mm-hmm.
There are sometimes compatibility issues with multiple mods, but in general, if people create their mods in a way that they don't interact with each other, then people can really easily just install a bunch of mods and just enjoy the game.
Okay, so you already said that the REDkit is actually kind of Red engine, but with some limitations, like you don't have access to source code. But are there any other limitations regarding the Red engine?
In general, no, but there might be some things that are slightly more complicated to do than what we did internally. So, for example, we have created a new toolset for creating assets and animations and such in Blender. So for free, people can just download Blender and get into modding. This was one of our goals, so people don't have to purchase anything if we can somehow replace it. But internally, for example, we use Maya, which is paid and people would have to pay for it.
Mhm.
And it works a little differently, but all in all, I think they should be able to do whatever they endeavor themselves in.
Okay, so other than REDkit, you will need the Blender, but is there any other software that would be recommended by you to start modding adventure?
So it's like making a game. So, you know, like you can buy Photoshop or you can use GIMP to create your textures. Same with like audio, you can use some tools. In just general, you have to figure out what you want to do, and I think for almost everything you should be able to do it for free.
Mhm.
You can just set up your environment. We have a nice tutorial on how to set up everything over on YouTube and also on the documentation, so people should be able to get started, I think, fairly easily.
Okay, so you said that it is user-friendly. What kind of design decisions would have to be done to make it user-friendly?
So when we started checking the engine, there was a lot of things that were like command line and without any interface for the users. So we created this publish process. So once you open up REDkit, you can create a new project. You can do whatever you want. Maybe you put down a new building. And once you are finished with what you wanted to make, then you can publish your project, which with a wizard walks you through on like packing together the assets for the game. Because when video games are made, after you finish your work, then you still have to process all the data to put it in the game.
Mhm.
And we created a nice visual place where you can follow what's happening. And at the end of it, we actually have a page. We partnered with Nexus Mods, so you can easily upload your mod to Nexus Mods or to Steam Workshop. So people are like walked through on the process of releasing their mods as well.
Mhm. Do you have to have coding experience to use the REDkit with some proficiency?
REDkit accompanies the scripting language of Witcher 3, which is called Witcher Script. We have some documentation about that as well, but for the most part, you don't need to go too deep into it unless you specifically want to create things that require scripts. But one thing that's nice about REDkit is the whole engine has these nice graph-based editors. So if you have used Unreal Engine or Unity, you might have seen some like visual programming with boxes and such.
Mhm.
So we have this for quests in REDkit. Matyas, one of our colleagues, has created like multiple hours of tutorials for this. So you can like really easily even debug like what's happening with your quests. So it's really nice to just go through those.
The scripting, is it somehow similar to the blueprints in Unreal Engine?
Yes, so the quest editor is really similar to Blueprints, but you have this like text-based system where you can actually type code, which is the abstraction of the game.
Mhm.
For example, you can just type the player, which will be Gallard, and then you can, I don't know, give money to Gallard with just like one line of code. It's really easy.
Mhm. And is it possible to create a full-fledged remake of one of the previous, or maybe both previous Witcher games here, using the original assets?
So one of our goals for the whole REDkit was for people to be able to make something like one of the expansions. So we actually created this example mod, which is called Marisca's Wonderland. Marisca is a Hungarian female name, by the way.
Same in Polish. Same in
Yes.
Poland.
And so the way it works is you go to one of the villages, I think in Buclair, and then you have a new quest where you have to follow some clues, and this will transfer you to a place where there is this mage in a castle which you have to defeat. But our guys are really big fans of From Software games, so you cannot actually defeat the witch. She will kill you, but you won't die. You will be banished to a new world where you have to explore this like city and figure out this ritual on how to save the villagers that got corrupted by the mage. It's really nice to see like what you can do with the REDkit. Of course, it's just a technical example. So,
is it possible to make Souls-like out of The Witcher 3 using the REDkit, like totally changing the fighting mechanics?
there is actually a person who started remaking the Bloodborne gameplay mechanics from
Okay.
Bloodborne. So you actually have a gun which you can shoot people with, and you can backstab and like move around. It's really nice. So yeah, just takes time.
Yeah, I'm really curious how different the mods will be. Like you said, the Bloodborne would be really interesting to see, and I hope and I think that many of fans of the Bloodborne will throw themselves into the mod.
Yeah. So one interesting mod is there is this guy who made this like really big mod called Eternal Hunt, and he's spending a lot of time with the REDkit, with the behaviors of the enemies. He really likes designing like these things, and I'm following like how he's making these. And he started adding dragons to the game that you can ride, and you can fight with dragons like while in the air.
Nice.
So it's like really interesting to see him like how he can like from existing things in the game like put together new things that are still like really cool.
Okay, so I suppose that kind of some of the projects can be done by one person, but others, like one of my ideas, would require a team to work with. Is it possible to use the REDkit in the team-based cooperations?
So the internal Red engine was using Perforce for tracking changes between the assets. But Perforce is quite expensive, and for the size of a modder's project, it is not really necessary. So what we did, we removed Perforce and set up a system which tracks which files you change and which files you add and such. So when you start a new project in your REDkit, you will have a project folder which you can put on Git or zip it up in Google Drive, however you want, and you can share it between people. So you can easily collaborate with others. We also have all the strings exported into CSV, so you can easily translate it. So it should be fairly easy to collaborate.
Okay, that's a great information, because, like I said, probably I will have to cooperate with someone with some of the ideas I have.
There is actually a group of people. So when developing the REDkit, a few months before the release, we actually reached out to a few key modders that I know that are really great people, and we gave them an NDA, and we started collaborating them on figuring out like how they see what features should we have, and how they see how Red Engine should be shaped for them to use. And there is a big group of people who are making this desert mod, some adventure of Geralt in the desert called The Revenge of the Ophir. And they just started posting some screenshots, and it started to look really great. So I'm excited to. I think in a couple months we should see some crazy mods from people
Nice.
who are
Nice.
working in the background.
I'm really curious what the community will create out of it. it gives it on paper at least, and after hearing your words, it surely gives a lot of possibilities to do crazy things. Okay, so if you talk about the creating mods itself, so maybe from your experience, is there any advices you can give to the people who would like to start modding, how they should approach the mod creation? Is there any kind of a planning they should start or?
So I have a funny story about this. So one of the guys who work at us, Moritz, I was doing the RED streams with him, and there he explained his journey about, let's just change a couple of things about bolts in Witcher. How long should it take? A couple days. And then he spent like 1 year working on that mod to figure out all the things. So it's always like this thing that you start changing some things, then you really start getting involved, and then you get in this like flow of like understanding how the game finally works. So then you can like really start creating things, and after a while you just feel like you can really like go into your idea more deep and deep. And I think generally just have some vague idea about what you want to do, don't overcomplicate it, and just start working on it, and as you go you can figure out how you want to do things. Naturally, if you want to do some like really big mod, maybe a couple hours of quests, then you have to plan it, because then you have to write the story and all of that, but that's a really different scenario. But if you only want to, as a solo person, just go into modding, then I guess just find something that you are passionate about and just start poking around.
Okay, so basically REDkit is using the original assets from Witcher 3, which opens the possibility to access the hidden ones. Like we've seen already the cutout boat racers. Are there many that kind of stuff hidden beneath the surface?
So we try to be careful and do not release anything that we don't want, but obviously there are some things that we couldn't remove because they were already in the game, or we just felt like that it can stay. So you can look around, and maybe I can share that we have hidden something somewhere in the REDkit
Okay.
that people have not found yet. So maybe we will see that someone finds that one as well.
Okay. So is this kind of your internal joke of yours, or just kind of a contest for most committed modders to who find it first will be the hero of your team or something like that?
We're really surprised, like over the years, how many like strange things stayed in the repo and how the game evolved. So it took a lot of time, but we went through almost all of the assets of the game to make sure that we only release what we want to. But I think like there are some things there that people will be like different style of houses that like weren't released, so people could just go around and have some fun building new things.
Yeah, so if anyone would like to start his journey with REDkit, this is the place where he should go, which is Witcher 3 REDkit documentation, right? Documentation page.
Yeah, so first of all, you can simply visit thewitcher.com/REDkit, which will put you on the site where you can either select that you want to make mods or play with mods, and we also have the contest now there, so feel free to join to create some new stuff. So once you go to this page, you will be directed to download REDkit and set up everything. But if you go down here, you will be able to open up the documentation. And this will take you to our public Confluence page, which is a subset of the documentation we have for the Red engine in a nicer format for people to digest. So you can go through here and we explain everything on how the Witcher 3 works under the hood, how to set up everything, how to create your mods. We have some nice tutorials if I go here, how to create a new word. So this from the start walk you through how to create a new level, how to set up the terrain, what settings you should use, and what problems you could have and how to resolve them.
Mm-hmm.
But what I more in depth wanted to go through is we created this Marisca's demo mod. So when creating the REDkit, we wanted to give a bigger example to everyone. So we have a mod where you can actually download the project that we created when creating this mod.
Mm-hmm.
So here you can actually download it, and we also have it on Steam Workshop, so with just one click you can install it and try it out. So basically here you can see examples for most of the stuff, like how to start up a Gwent encounter, how to haggle, how a shopkeeper works, how to do a boss fight, how to place monster clues, how to travel to new worlds with the quest node, all of these, because I think that many people are like me, that learning by example is easier than just reading and figuring out on your own. So you can actually just download this and maybe just copy 2-3 quests and just change it around, trial and error, figure it out how you want to do. It's set up in a way that if you start a Blood and Wine only new playthrough, it will place you exactly at the start of the quest, so it's really easy to test it.
Mm-hmm.
And all of it is integrated into the base game. So you have this nice boss fight with this lady and all of that. So I think it can give you a really nice example. Also, funny thing is it has been removed from the quest for the most part, but during the development we actually voice acted the quest with the development team, so it was quite funny to try out how to record voices and everything. Yeah. So I think this should give everyone a nice example. We also have multiple endings for the mod, and there is quite a few secrets which you can discover here as well. And if you are still interested, we have a nice series of tutorials up on YouTube. The first one is done by me actually, and quest one is 1 hour long and such. So we try to stay really basic and walk you through everything as clearly as we can. And based on the feedback, we actually started even here adding your pages on how to collaborate, and we tried to interact with the community as much as we could on Discord and such, and listen to feedback on how to improve.
So how's the feedback after the tool release? Did you adjust something that was critical for the community?
So we actually had a playtest before the release, where for around a month we gave it already to some people, and we started just thinking about from the feedback how to improve, and I think we did 2 patches after the release. And actually there was quite a few surprises. One of them I mentioned in the Red streams as well, that I was surprised how many people use controllers on PC. I never do.
Really?
And people do. Yeah.
Oh, I
Because
can't
I
imagine.
have a-
I can't imagine playing games on the PC with my keyboard because I'm the console player, right? From the
Yeah.
to the bone. Like this is a torture to me if I have to play on the
Yeah.
mouse and keyboard. So
Yeah, I used to be a big FPS player, like
Okay.
Counter-Strike and Call of Duty, and I used to play always on my PC. I have a PS5 now, but on the PC I still play mouse and keyboard.
okay,
But after feedback that people do that, we actually added that people can play in the REDkit, the game preview with controllers.
well that's nice.
Yeah, so like small things like this, like people wanted things to, I don't know, when you save something that it reopens it, and like small things here and there. But I think the biggest one was that on the last patch that we released a while ago, we actually added dark mode to the editor,
Mhm.
so you can turn the whole thing into night mode, so it doesn't hurt your eyes. So it's much easier to use if you work late and
Mhm.
like the silence and working at the night, like me.
Oh, so actually, when you said about using the controller during the preview in REDkit, I do have one question regarding the cutscene creation because I'm a video content creator and I'm huge fan of the one take shots, like plan the one take shot and it can last for a few minutes straight. Is it possible to using the controller because I'm also creating the graphics comparison video on my second channel. This is one of the things that I really love to do, and often I use the controller to pan, crop, and put the camera in my sweetest spot. And I often use the one long shot if the game requires it. Is it possible to use to record the specific camera movement using the controller and then use it in the cutscene? If I'd say I would be creating the cutscene itself for the purpose of the mode. And can I program the camera movement using the controller?
In general, you can control the camera in most places, but the way it works is like if you are switching actors or like setting up things, you probably have to like use your mouse. And the way it works in a cutscene creator is you have this timeline view where you have to add events and place like actions there on like what's going on. Maybe you want to have some audio, you want to place a light somewhere, you want to spawn a new character that comes into the room. So in those cases, you do have to use your mouse and keyboard. I haven't tried it, but I think it should work to control your camera in the general cutscene, because that's the way everywhere it works, so it shouldn't be a problem.
Okay. Just that was just a crazy idea, wild idea that I just got. You've showcased the demo mode that you created. Are there many demo modes available to test for users?
So this was like the only big mod that we released, but for each of the tutorials you can actually like step by step see how to create something. So in general, for example, in the one for the quest, you can see like how to create a simple quest. And in the encounter one, you can see how to set up an encounter. So those you can follow, but only for this one, you have the actual project available.
Okay, so we are talking that the modders should be interested in REDkit itself, but actually I think this tool can be handy for people who are not modders, but are maybe would try to build their portfolio for, let's say, the job seeking or whatever they would like to do. So who would you recommend to get interested in this tool?
So the great thing about REDkit is it's a whole engine. So if you're a level designer, a quest designer, a cinematic designer, gameplay designer, gameplay programmer, you can just go in, make something really, really cool, and then maybe CDPR, someone else. Like, it's really nice to apply to a job and see what you can do. So maybe even you had an internship and it was under NDA. It's really hard to like see what people can do. That's why most companies, even us, do a test for you. But if you can approach someone like, see, this is like 3 cool bosses I have modded to the game. Like, this is what I can do. It's like when artists put like all the stuff on their art station. I think it's really nice to like have some kind of like foundation that you can show that this is what I can do. And especially back in the development of Cyberpunk, CDPR actually even hired people with the Witcher 2 REDkit, so this can give you an idea.
Yeah, so there was an article, I suppose it was an interview with Paweł Sasko, who told that there are many people in CDPR who actually are modders. So you are one of the examples, I suppose. And yeah, so it seems that the REDkit could be a good open door to your future career in game developers.
So
yeah.
We actually organized a couple of people at CDPR who are ex-modders that work on the new Witcher saga, and they shared the story on like how they started out and how they ended up here, and all of them explained like how nice it is to have a modding background. It's like modder to developer or something like that. It's up on the Witcher YouTube channel, so I recommend everyone watching it. It's like a nice like story about how passionate people can enjoy the passion professionally.
Do you still create mods just for fun, or just don't have time for that right now?
I still am part of like the Cyberpunk and Witcher modding communities, so I have quite a few like people I have known for many years. I never really created mods. I rather made the tools to make them.
Okay.
So
you're
I'm more
like
of
a
a
biz dev.
engineer.
You're like a biz dev for modding community.
Maybe, but I used to write a lot of code, so I
Okay.
used to like code the tools themselves. But now I don't really have time to code, so I usually just talk with people and organize things.
Do you have any particular mod that you can call it by it's your favorite one? Maybe there's something that we can advise or promote like somehow to other people to check it.
So I'm a big fan of zombies and vampires, and the one I mentioned before, this Eternal Hunt in The Witcher 3, which puts like a big emphasis on vampires. That's one of my favorite ones. It's really cool.
Okay.
Like the guy added a bunch of new things, and it's really complex. So if someone has time to try one mod, they should try that one.
Okay, for sure I will try to. I tried myself. For sure I will try the demo one that you showcase here. I didn't notice that it was available right before, so for sure I will check it out. Okay, so I think that would be conclusion of our talk today, because we actually have some quite load of information regarding the REDkit, what it is, what it can do, and who should be interested in it. So thank you, Bence, for sharing your insight on it, and I hope that we'll see some crazy things happen quite soon.
Yeah, so thank you for inviting me, and I am available on the Witcher 3 Discord quite a lot. So if anyone has questions, feel free to reach us to me or anyone in the team. And I hope everyone has fun making mods. So thank you.
Yeah, I hope that we will have the same fun playing those mods. Great. That is great, actually. That you, I suppose, not only you, but your team too, is active in modding community, especially regarding the REDkit.
Yeah. So on the official CDPR The Witcher Discord, there is a role called the REDkit staff, which is myself and the development team. Not all of us, but most of us are there quite a lot. So usually you can find someone, and we are happy to help.
Do you still have time? Do you still have time to work rather than answering the questions?
Well, I try. I try my best.
Okay, so like you heard, you can speak to Bence in Discord. I will put all the links in the video description, so I suppose I encourage you guys to check it out. All the REDkit, the Discord, the demo, the showcase. I'm really curious about it, and that would be it. Thank you very much, Bence, for meeting us, and I hope we'll see each other again soon. And maybe you will be able to test my mod someday.
All right. Thank you very much, and
Yeah.
see you around.
Cheers.